Just Jake here, back again with another JgPzIV IV video to end the break of me recording and uploading. I'm here on Overlord with my wife in her Hellcat, and this is a pure Tier 6 battle that starts out pretty chaotic, as some mid-tier games are, but it ends up being a very, very tactical and down-to-the-wire game. And that's what I think makes it worth uploading. And this is one of the first, I believe this is one of the first good games I've had to upload here on the reworked Overlord map, which has changed drastically. And especially if you're in kind of a stealthy or snipey tank destroyer. I tend to go to right here to either this position, and the M4 actually already knocked a tree down that I normally knock down, which helps me out quite a bit. If we had a little more cover as far as allies moving over to the far east, I would actually move up to the rock that you see just right there near my minimap. It's about one square ahead of me. The VK3601H is going to drive past it. That's actually a really good position as well. But to start out with, at least, this position allows you to fire. As you've seen, I fired into the middle, and I can also cover the east if anyone pushes or crests over the ridge lines. So a pretty good position if you're trying to remain stealthy. Works with any kind of tank destroyer. But I don't remain here because I am watching my map, and you can see that, especially with our VK3601H going east, our west is heavily outnumbered. And I need to get over here to help stem the tide of enemies being pushed towards our base. And quite simply, I'm having to hug the map edge because it looks like the Cromwell B is going to poke over and could spot me if he's running optics, which a Cromwell B should be. So I decided to stop here where I have a bush in between myself and the heavies. Now they're still too far away to spot me even if I was sitting wide out in the open. But my goal eventually is to get down here next to this T-78. And I will get in behind some cover because I do need to remove at least one heavy from the game here before they get too close. But unfortunately, they have put a lot of cover between where the typical snipers used to sit and the heavy push. And of course, that redesign was to aid heavies in being able to push and to reduce sniping overall. That's definitely something that wargaming is trying to reduce, is sniping. Because too many people don't seem to understand the spotting and concealment system. It's easier just to brawl. But as long as I have shots, I will keep the gun working, trying to reduce the numbers of enemies in front of me. And I do have a KB2 pushing very close, and I am aware of the fact I'm probably going to have an M6 pushing up to my left. But my goal is to remove the KB2 and any other threats before, and then I'll just deal with the M6 head on, which he is spamming premium. That seems to be a thing among M6s anymore. But I have the DPM to easily, as long as I don't whiff the shot, I have the DPM to take him out. But now I am one-shottable. Now if the Type 58, if he hits me, I might survive. But I am in a very precarious situation, and this is just to get the game back to 6-6. There's still a lot of game to be played, and I am highly suspicious that I will have an enemy pushing right up on me, because that's exactly what I would have done. If I had been the Type 58 or another enemy, I would have pushed along with the M6. But as you can see here, he stayed exactly where he was. So I was hoping to get in a position without getting spotted and knock the tree over, but it still worked out. But there is artillery in play, and 100% thinking that I'm going to get hit. But that actually was a good swing here, where my wife actually also swung over with her Hellcat to clear out the west. So now we are in a pretty good position, especially if somebody could knock down that Cromwell or the Staghound. We haven't seen the enemy light tank. The Staghound seems to be doing the job of a light tank, and the Cromwell's actually moved over to the far west, or far east, I mean. Which is a good play. They're trying to clear out the far east as we're trying to clear out the far west. So it's almost like we're working clockwise, both enemy team and allied team. The Staghound, he is on low health, and I really had wished that one of our teammates in the middle had just finished him off. It looks like finally they're making a move. And that's a good kill there. So now I'm actually moving up to try to help the M4. Because the Cromwell B could easily solo the M4 if the M4 wastes his shots and has to go on reload. Because if you're not aware, the M4A1 FL10 is the auto-loading French version. Which means he could easily just be very vulnerable if the Cromwell B pushed him. Now, he could clip the Cromwell B if he lands the shots, but that's a lot of ifs. So I'm standing here in this position again, back to my original one, looking to see if I can't at least safeguard the M4 from getting surrounded. And now that is exactly what needed to happen. Get rid of the Cromwell B. And now finally, the AMX-12T has been spotted. He hadn't been active this whole time. When we were playing this live, my wife had actually noticed that it looked like he had been AFK at the base. And then as soon as he gets spotted, he starts moving. It was extremely weird. Don't know if somebody just stepped away and hadn't realized that there was over half a game gone, or it's not bot behavior. It was just very weird. And now we have a full health AMX-12T. Well, until she lands a hit on him. And I land a hit, but it low rolls, which lets him actually just about get away, and he does make it to cover. And that's the most dangerous thing left in a game. When you have a light tank on a map that does have concealment. Because he could easily just find a bush, and if we try to push, he's got a Nashorn and a JgPzIV, but he didn't, or JgPzIV 4, he didn't do that. He stayed too close. And she had the health to be able to just push over and get him. Which, now that's pretty much a game-winning move. With her getting rid of the AMX-12T, there's not much left other than us just being careful and approaching the two enemy tank destroyers that are left. The artillery, at this point, is not going to win the game. You can make it annoying for us, but we have the M4 still has most of their health. She still has most of her health. Now, myself and the T50-2 are both one-shottable. So all we have to do is play careful. And it looks like I actually might have spotted this. My own counterpart on the enemy team. I did not get spotted in return. So he's probably running binoculars or no optics of any kind. Because he started to roll back after he got spotted, which of course would break the vision. Now that's the T50-2 finally moving up and getting some spotting in. And so now the only thing left is the Nashorn, which had been spotted basically where I'm sitting, and hasn't been spotted since. And then here, she actually calls out that the Nashorn's in the back. And of course, there he is, in the high position where there's concealment, which is a good spot. But at this point, he's basically dead for. When you get spotted up there, and he was actually a little to our right, his left, of what was pretty good concealment if you knock over a few trees. But at this point, it looks like a foregone conclusion. The JgPzIV is trapped by some pretty quick moving vehicles, and then I'm coming around the corner hoping to get one last shot in, but looks like nope. They finished him off before I could actually get my gun on him. But this ends up being an ace with not too far off of 4,000 damage. It's about 3,700, which that's why I was hoping to get that extra shot in, get maybe closer to 4,000 damage, which I do already have the Ace high caliber top gun for the 6 kills, with a extremely high WN8 of over 14,000. Don't track that, but when you upload to wattrecord.com instead of what I used to use, it gives you your WN8. That shows that her and I were number 1 and 2, and it basically took all of that to win. And it was a very good game. I hope that you enjoyed watching that, and thanks for sticking around to the end if you did.